What's up, everyone? I hope you're doing awesome today. If you're a first-time home buyer, I understand there are lots of things that you have to think about and plan for, right? There's financing, right? Where am I going to get my mortgage? Where am I going to find the house? How does the whole process work? What happens after closing? So I know there's a lot that you're thinking about, but there are some rookie mistakes that I want to make sure that first-time home buyers avoid. So in this video, I share those mistakes with you so you don't make them and that you can have a great experience when you buy your first house. I did part one in this series a few months ago, so now I'm doing part two to share some additional home buying or rookie mistakes that I've seen made in the marketplace. My name is Stephen Kodabash of K-Bash Realty, and I get to help people buy and sell houses every day. I live here in the northern Atlanta area, and we're pretty lucky with utilities. Utilities are pretty manageable around here compared to other parts of the country, but that's one item, utilities, that you don't want to forget as a first-time home buyer. If you've been in an apartment for a while or a townhome and you've been renting, a lot of times those utilities are quote-unquote included, right, in your rent every month. But as a homeowner, you've got to account for those because you've got to pay for those every single month. And oftentimes, let's say water, for example, water might be a fixed amount in an apartment that you might be renting. Well, in your home that you own, it's not fixed. So if you use a lot of water, your bill is going to be higher. If you use less water, then it's going to be a little bit lower. Hold up, before we go further, do me a favor and please hit the like button and hit the subscribe button for me. I appreciate it. A second first-time home buyer mistake is looking at homes before you're pre-approved for a mortgage. Getting pre-approved is a huge, guys, it is a huge and very important first step in the entire process because you want to reach out to a lender to see how much you can afford. Now, you might think you can afford a certain amount, but you've got to coordinate with the lender. They'll look at the entire financial picture of your situation, and they'll tell you, they'll say, yes, you're pre-approved for $500,000 or $600,000, whatever the number is, but then you'll know you've got a budget in mind. Because here's what will happen, and I've seen this before with folks that have not as much experience in the home buying process. They might start looking at homes online and having these big dreams of, oh, I can move into this house, that house, and things like that. Well, then you get let down, right? It's a big bummer if down the road you then decide to check with the lender and you find that you're not qualified or pre-approved for a certain dollar amount. So make sure you get that pre-approval done first. Oftentimes the lender will supply you with a letter, so you'll share that letter with your realtor, and that way you guys will know exactly what your house shopping budget looks like. I tell my clients, don't settle. I don't want you to settle for a home because I want you to be 100% happy with it so you don't have buyer's remorse. So there's a fine line here between don't settle, but also you can't be too picky either. Because if you find yourself being too picky, then you might not find a house at all that you want. And when I say don't be too picky, I say that in that every house is different. They're all going to have pluses and minuses. So you have to weigh those pluses and minuses and figure out what suits you best. Because I'll tell you, there is no such thing as a perfect house. You're not going to find a perfect one that's going to have all the positives, one column and no negatives on the other side. That really doesn't exist. So make sure you balance that part of being not too picky, but then don't settle either. If you're a first-time home buyer, make sure that you reach out to a local realtor. Make sure you find someone with experience in the space because there are a lot of steps that you have to go through and it can be daunting. But your realtor is going to help with negotiations. They're going to help with all of the contract paperwork, which is extremely important, of course. And they're going to help to make sure that you get that property closed and they make the process as efficient as possible for you. So make sure that you reach out to a realtor for help in that regard, because the realtor is going to be, they're going to be looking out for your best interest. So you as a buyer, you'll have a buyer's agent and you will be the client. So that realtor has a fiduciary responsibility to the client to make sure that they look out for his or her best interests throughout the entire transaction. Another common mistake is putting too little money down as a down payment for your new mortgage. Make sure that you analyze this. Take a look at your cash flow situation. What do you have? What other expenses might you have coming up? I'm not saying empty out your savings and put everything down on your new property, but if you've got the means, put down enough money. And hey, if you can put down more than 20% and you can avoid something called PMI, which is private mortgage insurance, that helps to save some money for yourself each month. So obviously the more you put down, that lowers your monthly payment. So make sure you take a hard look at that. There are plenty of mortgage calculators online. Consult closely with your realtor or your lender and figure out what that correct number is in terms of a percentage for you to put down on the purchase of your next property. Here's a big mistake that can really jeopardize your entire transaction, and it can cause you to not close at all on that property. Let's say you go out and you buy a car or you take out a big loan for some other large purchase right before closing. That's a big no-no, okay? Do not do that, because that alters your credit report and your lender will have to go back and review everything. They'll have to take a look at your debt to income ratio again, and it could throw everything out of whack. And then, like I said, you could jeopardize the entire transaction and not be able to close on that property. So don't go out and take out any loans and make any big purchases before closing. If you want to do that, just save it till after closing and then go out and purchase that boat or buy that new car or whatever you want to do. So if you are a first-time home buyer, I really hope this video helped you out, because there are a lot of little, I'll call them landmines, right? If you don't have the proper guidance and the proper support from your realtor and from your lender, there are these little landmines that can jump up and they can get you, and they can cause you a lot of pain and a lot of frustration that you can avoid if you plan properly. If you are getting ready to buy a home soon, you'll want to make sure that you conduct a home inspection. You'll hire a company that will come through and inspect the home. Now, depending on what is found in that home inspection, there could be some deal breakers. So in this video, I go through some deal breakers that could pop up in a home inspection. So if that happens, you want to make sure that you have some heart-to-heart discussions with your realtor to make sure that you want to stay in that transaction and move forward with purchasing the home, or do you want to back out early? I hope this video helped you out. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will catch you on the next one.